Welcome back to Laurence McKenna channel on LFC, where we're talking about Liverpool versus Accrington Stanley, the 12:15, the early kickoff of the weekend for the FA Cup. And it is at Anfield, which kind of makes me feel a little bit better because when I look around, when I see, look, those are not frosted in real life. Well, they are frosted, but they're not frosted windows. Does that make sense? So they have frosted. But it gets cold out here. It is the early kickoff, and it is going to be very cold at Anfield. As you saw the other day, it gets cold up in Liverpool, and our northwest neighbours will know that as well. Those guys will be a little bit more au fait with playing in more difficult conditions than Anfield. In fact, Anfield might be some of the best conditions they will ever play in. It might be some of the best conditions that anyone will ever play in, but you get my point. Like, these guys are coming to Anfield. It's a pretty big event for those players, I guess, and they're 19th in League One at the moment. They're not doing so well. They've had a couple of wins in a row, and then their December actually looked like a couple of defeats. There were a couple of big defeats in there as well. And as much as we can't name some of their players, I still think that it's, there's always a stumbling block. There's always a little trip that you can have. And there certainly are trips that you can have when you come off the back of a Spurs result, which was a 1-0, which was disappointing. Only half-time in that game, but you get my point. And then you get back not to be able to land at the nearest airport to where you want to be. Not that, by the way, the nearest airport to where most Liverpool players want to be is actually Liverpool. They probably wanted to fly back to Manchester and then go from there. But that's not really the point, right? They then had to get cars from Birmingham, which is where they could actually land, up to wherever it was that they lived. I don't know if they did group stuff. I don't know if they did some, like carpool things where it's like, well, does Chiesa live close to Harvey? Well, could he hop in with him? Or whether it was sort of like, look, everyone's going to get, there's 22 cars here, boys, get in the back and we'll be all good. Doesn't really matter. The point is they got back in at 4 or 5 a.m. They missed training on the Thursday. And then on the Friday, they just do some light training, which is essentially today, the day we're doing the preview. Now, as beautiful, you can't actually see that much going this way, but there is a really nice view the other way. As beautiful as this is, it's really not great conditions to play in. First of all, I don't think that there's going to be all that many players on, at the very top end of Liverpool's team who will be playing in the game against Accrington Stanley. I think there'll be a lot of players on the fringe that get an opportunity, A, to play slot ball, but B, also just to have a start. I think we'll see a couple of interesting names on that team sheet. So I'm going to go through that team sheet right now and just talk you through it. What I think will be the team sheet. I think Kelleher should start. He didn't start against Spurs, which is fair enough. I think that was quite a big game for Liverpool. I would have actually quite liked to see him start against Spurs. I think there's a logic to it. I also think as strong as Spurs are, I think that he's a good enough goalkeeper to start in that kind of game. So I was very confused as to why he wouldn't start in that game. I think we should definitely start Bradley because I think Bradley's getting his fitness back up. And I think if you can't get your fitness back against a League One team when you're meant to have a Premier League level of fitness, then, come on. I think I would like to see, Nallo is a name that a lot of people have thrown out there in for a couple of rounds now of these cups. I get it. I think it's a good logic. Apparently, he's a really fantastic player in the first place, a real leader in his youth team, and a player that I'm kind of desperate to get a look at. Whether you want to play him against an Accrington Stanley style striker, someone who's going to get a little bit physical, do you really want to do that? Do you really want to take that level of risk? I'm not sure that we will. I think I'll be interested to see who our other centre-back option is. Nallo is going to be the one that I wanted to put on the team sheet, though. I'm not saying he's not capable of playing against a senior player at any level, but you know what I'm saying, guys. Endo, I think, should start alongside him. I think Endo will probably be the leader and captain of the side. I then think we'll probably start Tsimikas. I would be interested to see if Andy Robertson starts, but I think we'll probably start Tsimikas because I don't want someone to think they can get a run at him. I think it should be Morton and Dioni in the midfield if I wanted the best things, but maybe we'll see McConnell there as another name that's been thrown out more recently. Harvey should definitely start in the 10. Although I would love to see Curtis in there, I've got to admit. I would actually love to see a midfield with Curtis and Harvey. Curtis sitting a little bit deeper, Endo being that more holding player. But I do want to see more of Morton. I do want to see more of the Nyoni types in the games because I think, if we're not going to replace our midfield, if we are going to go forward with Gravenberch and McAllister and all those guys, I think we should be looking to promote from within. I think we should be looking to continue the legacy of what has gone down in the Klopp generation and the good players that have come through in that time. I'm not saying that everyone has to come through, but I think we should definitely do that. Up front, okay, I think Nunes should start through the middle because I need Nunes to get some goals this season. If he's not going to leave in January, which it looks less and less likely because Marmoush is apparently going to Man City. I don't know if we have any other options for that level of money. If we can't get 50 million for him or 45 plus the 5 million for a loan, then what are we doing, guys? I mean, at this point, I think there's another video in Nunes coming, but it's kind of weird. Do you know, like, it's a little bit strange. The level of drop off, actually, there's nothing weird about it. It's because he was a Klopp man, and it's because he was someone who was bought in and sold a very specific dream and now isn't living that very specific dream. Fair enough. But I need him to get some goals because I need his confidence back up. And I don't want to see him wheeling away, celebrating, but I do want to see him looking humbly, contentedly happy with himself. Does that make sense? Which should, because on the other wing, I think we should have either Jota or Gakpo. I would probably like to see a young winger out there, but I don't really think that we have anyone in the wider squad who's not out on loan at the moment or is able to take that step. So I think it's going to have to be Gakpo or Diaz. I think you also want that threat in order to spread the defence out, in order to make them nervous. I think if you're going to play any side and they're going to have, maybe that level is used to playing a one-trick pony or someone who's like just going to cut inside and then put the ball back in. But I think, I think that's a fun side. And then on the right-hand side, I think if Chiesa doesn't start, I'll be surprised. He's been getting his fitness back up. If he doesn't even get into this game, then I think that is a good indication that Chiesa's probably going and either misses Italy or is not any longer in the plans of Arne Slot, because I don't know, he's taken a look at him and he's not there. There were the rumours about Kvaratskhelia the other day. I love that as a rumour. I've been to Napoli a couple of times to go see Napoli play, to go see Liverpool play as well. And I loved him every time I saw him play. I was very curious as to whether he could fit the Premier League, but I think that's a whole other thing. And I think at this point, the transition from Serie A, the transition over, is a tricky one. I'm not saying don't go for Italian players, or players that play in Italy. I know he's not Italian. But Chiesa's barely played here, boys. I know he had the injury problems. I know, I want to see him. I'm kind of curious. I'm kind of want to give him a little Liverpool legacy. I want him to have a cult status. Do you know what I mean? I don't want him to feel like an Alberto Aquilani type. Aquilani, of course, had a rough run at Liverpool. There are a lot of weird things that happened in the Aquilani time. But I don't want to see that become the case for him. I want to see him. I think he's already a fantastic player. I think he's got a great legacy in the game in terms of what he's done with Juve, in terms of what we've seen from him. I don't want it to be one of those things where it was like, I regret my time at Liverpool. I don't want to see Liverpool as a club who can't revive those kind of players because, we had Thiago. I know Thiago had his injury issues. We're looking at Joshua Kimmich next summer. I want older or players who look like they need a recovery or feel like they need a recovery to be able to come to us and to be able to revive themselves. So far, it's not really happened with him at all. I know he's had the minutes. I know he's got his assist, and that will always be an assist that I will hold deep in my heart. But I want to see him working his way back into the team. And if I'm honest, ultimately, it's not even a personal thing with him. It's actually that I want him to be able to help Liverpool to win a title and for him to be part of a team that revives themselves this season. It's been a difficult couple of games, I think. Yeah, again, we're sort of just conflating a couple of issues here. The United game, we understand what happened there. We've been over that forensically. The Spurs game, I think, again, we've been over that forensically. Almost two separate issues, almost two different kinds of game. I don't want the Accrington Stanley one to be a third one that I have to go over with a scalpel going, right, what happened here, boys? What's going on? So there are big conversations to be had if it goes wrong against Accrington Stanley. But I think what I would say is, especially when it comes to respect for opposition sides, we've not quite gotten that right this season. We didn't respect Nottingham Forest when they turned up, and damn will we respect Nottingham Forest in the immediate game after this, which is why we'll rest a lot of our senior players. I think we need to attack that Nottingham Forest game like our league title depends on it. Like, I feel like our season is kind of hinging on these few games, and whether we think things are looking up or things are on the down, this is that period. It's not this game, though. We have to get through this game. They have to be professional. They have to show the level of respect to Accrington Stanley that they deserve, which is they are in the Football League in the UK. They're in a much better position than they've been in before. Obviously, being a Northwest side, we deserve to give them a lot of respect in the first place. Liverpool historically have very good relations with everyone else in the Northwest. So, obviously, apart from Everton, but even then, Everton, it's like, come on. But, what I'm saying is this is a great occasion. I think it's one of those occasions where it's going to be a really nice atmosphere at Anfield. Everyone's going to be really up for it. It's 12:15, so it is a little early. Not as much drinking, the lads, as maybe you would have liked, but still a great atmosphere, still a great place, and still a great historic occasion. Accrington Stanley, one of the historic clubs of the Football League and of English football. Let me know what you guys think of the starting 11 in the comments below. There'll be other videos out today about other rumours, other people on their way here, other people leaving. By the way, I I think Harvey has been preparing to leave Liverpool for a while because I think he's not been happy about his a number of starts under Klopp and now under Slot. But I think really what he's doing is putting pressure on the club to start him more. It's that simple. I think we should be starting him. I just don't know in which games, because at the moment, Curtis didn't perform in the last couple of games, or hasn't performed to the best of his abilities. I think he's still performed. I don't know if we should still be starting Harvey, but I'm curious to see him in that position if Szoboszlai is out and if Curtis isn't having his best games. I'm curious to see him. I want to see what he does in these kind of matches and how he steps up, because if he is looking for a move, if he isn't happy with the amount of starts, this is exactly the kind of game to revive whatever it was that you were putting forward, the case that you want to put forward against Accrington Stanley. It's going to be physical. Yes, they will foul you a lot, but be that nuisance. Be the guy that gets back up. Don't be too good for all of this. Get out there and prove to us that you are one of our number 10s, one of our probably 2 number 10s that we can afford to rotate in and out of games. If not, you're competing for the 8, and you're not going for the 6. So you're really a 10. It's that simple. You know the positions, you know the midfield available, and you know that realistically, I think he's only really starting at the right wing if he's getting at a push to come on and kind of replace Salah as that inside 10 style. It's actually a good point. Should we start 2 10s in this game, guys? Should we go for would you start Morton in the 10 with Kurt and Endo at the deep, and then put Harvey alongside him? They're getting under each other's feet. Do you not need someone who's an experienced 10? I don't know. Anyway, let me know in the comments below. Would you start Harvey on that right wing, which would be interesting? Would you start Chiesa in the 10, Harvey on the inside right, with Bradley overlapping and underlapping, and boom. Ooh. It's early here. It's early. I'm recording this very early. I'm sure the neighbours love me. If you guys appreciate it, there is a Patreon down there. There is also a Discord link. Let me know what you guys are thinking, feeling, and mulling over. If there's any videos you'd love to see me make, please put them in the comments below. I often go down there and read those comments, and I really enjoy some of the feedback that you guys give me on the more constructive side. Stuff about the hair and the sleepy eyes, keep it to yourself for today, please, boys. All right, I'll chat to you in a little while. Much love. Bye.